There is a pattern, discernible pattern of Democratic officials seemingly trying to convince you, the public, to not believe what you saw and what you heard with your eyes and with your ears on Thursday night.
Yeah, there's no way around it. A lot of people are asking why it wasn't made more evident to the American people that the decline has become so bad. Of course, there are a number of possible explanations, one being that the press themselves were shielded from it. Obviously, they've done those press conferences, a couple of them where they've asked some confrontational questions, and he's totally trailed off. There was one specifically about Israel where he forgot who was in negotiations, and someone in one of the press reporters had to say, Hamas, you mean Hamas. There have been moments like that. Really, I think it was mainly not so much the press corps, although I see that argument. To me, it was more, it's the White House itself constantly and aggressively engaged on spin on behalf of Biden and denying that there's anything wrong with him and attacking journalists, some conservative journalists, but also mainstream journalists for pretending otherwise. And then the talking heads on cable news who are very much, not officially part of the White House, but are in the Biden camp, who tried to cover up the age-related questions.
Yeah, I think that's broadly right. There's a misconception about the press corps that I think is in people who are lucky enough to not have to do this for a living, which is that they think the press corps has total access to the president, that they can wander into the Oval Office and ask him questions, when in fact the reporting that we've seen come out is of a president who's very closely guarded by top advisors, who even junior level advisors have trouble getting directly to without extensive scheduling appointments, without being very closely checked, and meetings are generally kept very short. Joe Biden is not the kind of president who's hanging out in the press room jawing with people like Bill Clinton did for hours at a time.
Yeah.
He is a very distant figure. But at the same time, we also know that the press corps is an access-based organization, that they're going to prize access over telling a really tough story that may result in them not getting a scoop or being left out of the next big story. And that's a real conflict that I think the press corps itself struggles to resolve.
Where I think the press went most wrong with respect to the Biden mental decline question is in not realizing earlier that this was a top concern of Americans and having their reporting reflect the seriousness of that question. Polling has shown for a very long time now that a majority of Democrats had serious doubts about Biden's ability to run for re-election.